Okay, here's our chapter 6.6 notes, the unit circle, page 3. We are going to use the unit circle to do some stuff we did on the last set of notes. Okay. There are two videos here that I really like that talk about setting up the unit circle with reference angles. I will post those links in the chapter 6.6 folder, subfolder, so that you have those there if you want something a little more. Okay. But let's talk about how we use this unit circle in this case. Okay. Remember, when we talk about our coordinates, our xy is cosine theta, then sine theta, x, y. So here, sine 45, I am going to find, here's my 45, pi over 4. My sine is the y value. So my sine of 45, my sine of pi over 4, is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 30, here's my 30-degree angle. Cosine is my x value. Cosine of 30 is square root of 3 over 2. Sine of 4 pi over 3. Let me find something that's a shade of red, but not quite red. We're going to go with hot pink. My 4 pi over 3 is down here. Again, we want the sine, which is my y. And the sine of 4 pi over 3 is negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 11 pi over 6. Here's my 11 pi over 6. Cosine is the x value. So cosine of 11 pi over 6, because we are in the fourth quadrant, cosine is positive. I get square root of 3 over 2. Sine of pi here's pi. Sine is the y value. So the sine of pi is 0. And then cosine of pi over 2. Here's my pi over 2. Cosine is my x value. So the cosine of that pi over 2 is also 0. Okay. Notice this has cosine and sine. Those are our x and y coordinates. None of the other functions. So here we are going to figure those out. We're going to go with a fabulous shade of gray. Cosecant of 270 is 1 over the sine of 270. Sine of 270. 270 is 3 pi over 2. So we're looking at this ordered pair. My sine is negative 1. I get 1 over negative 1, which is negative 1. Secant of negative 270. Secant is 1 over cosine. I want to point out that if we're going negative 270 up here, there is 90, 180. Negative 270 is the same as 90 degrees. So this is 1 over the cosine of 90. Cosine of 90 is 0. That's not okay. This one's undefined. Cosecant of 225, that is 1 over sine of 225 degrees. Sine at 225, that's our 5 pi over 4. My sine is negative square root of 2 over 2. That means the reciprocal, which is negative 2 over the square root of 2, we are not leaving a radical in the denominator. Negative 2 square roots of 2 over 2, our 2's cancel, I get the negative square root of 2. And then the secant of negative 210. Secant is 1 over cosine, negative 210. So wait, this one was negative 270. Let's label that. Negative 210. There's my 180, 30 more. So my negative 210 degrees is the same as 150. We are in the second quadrant, so our cosine is negative. I got negative 1 over negative square root of 3 over 2. Negative 2 over the square root of 3. Again, we are rationalizing. And I get negative 2 square roots of 3 over 3. And I'm going to see if I can just highlight these really quick, only because there's a lot of work going down in here. And I want to make sure we could see the answers. Okay. Tangent and cotangent. Tangent is y over x, which is also sine over cosine. If cotangent is x over y, that's the cosine of our angle over the sine of our angle. Tangent, negative pi. Let's see if we can get another shade of gray here so we can, gray. Lots of gray. Negative pi. Remember, the negative angle means we are going clockwise. So this is pi. So we got the sine of pi, it doesn't matter if I'm calling it pi or negative pi, over the cosine of pi. Sine of pi is 0, cosine is negative 1, tangent of negative pi is 0. Want the cotangent of pi over 6. That's going to be the cosine of pi over 6 over the sine of pi over 6. Again, up here, we check with our pi over 6. We have square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. So root 3 over 2 over 1 over 2. We can ignore the over 2 parts. I get square root of 3. It's positive because in the first quadrant, everything's positive. Tangent of pi over 2. Pi over 2 is our 90-degree angle. Here are our coordinates, 0, 1. I got sine of pi over 2, which we just said was 1, over the cosine of pi over 2, which we just said was 0. Cannot divide by 0, so this one is undefined. And cotangent of negative 2 pi. So that's the cosine of negative 2 pi over sine of negative 2 pi. Negative 2 pi means we're going all the way around in the reverse direction. Doesn't really matter. That's the same as the cosine of 0 over the sine of 0. Cosine at 0 is 1. Sine at 0 is 0. This value is also undefined. Make sure you can see the bottom.